Hello, BookTube, to borrow a phrase from Steve Donahue. I've felt like I've been trying to make this video for quite a while, but there never seems to be a right time. There are always noises, interruptions, but I thought, what the heck, I'll just do it now anyway. So, as some of you know who've watched some of my videos, I've almost 2.5 months ago now, moved from Australia to New Zealand, and I'm in the Auckland area, and it's really beautiful here. I'm loving it, especially the temperature. Anyway, sorry, I had to stop the recording for a sec. As I was saying, yes, I'm loving the weather here at the moment. The summer is perfect for me, like tops maybe 25, 26 degrees, which is a lot better than 32 to 38 or 40. And yeah, so it's taken quite a while to settle in, and I haven't even got my things from Australia yet. I don't even know when I can do that, which is sadly the majority of my books. But partly this video is going to be showing you what I did actually pack for Australia, book-wise, that is. And I did have to get an extra piece of luggage just to fit some of my recording equipment in, and a few extra books and art materials. But the majority of the books did fit into my main luggage. And 2 of them I've finished so far, and the other one I'm almost halfway through. So the one that I read, starting on the plane actually, is the very well known, and I finally got around to it, A Month in the Country by J.L. Carr. So very happy to have had this one on the plane with me, nice and small and light, and just completely sucked me into the little world. And lots of things I loved: the countryside, nice slow pace, and to do with the artwork and the uncovering of a mural as well. So that was really lovely to read. I'm glad I got that one. And the other one that I finally got around to, which was read very slowly over the weeks of trying to settle in and buy a bit of furniture and all that sort of thing, is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Yay, finally read it. Feel so good about that. I did see I don't know if there was more than one movie this one made, but I watched the movie when I was a teenager, I think, and it left a really deep impression on me, and I'm surprised it's taken me so long to actually get around to reading the book. And I can't remember too many details from the movie, but just certain scenes stuck in my mind. Of course, the book burning. And the book I really, really enjoyed, though. It was not all parts of it, I should say, but getting into the minds of the fireman that, of course, causes fires to burn books was very interesting. It's, yeah, another one that I'm glad I read. Now, the one that I'm I wouldn't quite say halfway through. I'm getting there. This is The Light Years. It's number 1 of the Caslets by Elizabeth Jane Howard. Now, this one was recommended on Aaron from Aaron Read a Book or Aaron Read a Book, his BookTube channel. And I'm really enjoying it. But it's also, I think, because I've read it in bits and pieces and I haven't had proper consistency with it, I'm having trouble remembering which characters are related to whom, and I have to keep referring. Thank goodness at the front it does have the family tree and then a list of some of the other characters. But it's a bit like A Month in the Country. It transports you to a completely different time. This book is set pre-World War II, so between the World Wars, and it's going to be leading up to, in the further books, I don't know how many decades it goes through for the storyline, but just that pace of life there, and it's really interesting with the characters there. She explored some different kinds of relationships, and it's yeah, it's told from multiple perspectives. So many different viewpoints, from the children to the adults of the family to the older ones, and it's, yeah. This weekend I did actually read a fair bit of it, so I'm enjoying it a lot more now that I'm not completely lost with it. And unfortunately, the remainder of the series which I did buy are still in Australia, so goodness knows when I can get a hold of those or if I can borrow them. But currently, my local library is closed for renovations until August. So if I do want to visit a library, I have to go a little bit further afield. But that's okay, because at the moment I have enough here. The second book that I'm reading and dipping in and out of, which is good because it's actually part of the learning that my class is doing. So it's on World War II and the coming of the Third Reich. So this one, thank you, Steve, from Steve Donoghue, whose wonderful recommendations. Many of his books that he's recommended are the ones that I've actually brought over with me. But this one by Richard J. Evans, I'm not very far in, but it is just incredibly well written. It is so detailed. It takes it. I can't read this one quickly, I think. Not that I'm a quick reader, I'm actually a fairly slow reader. Although I'm trying to get a little bit quicker. But something like this, I'm not going to rush. I need time to take it in. Okay, let's see. I think I might go through the books that I've brought with me, but I've sort of lumped them together in trying to remember whose recommendations, who recommended them, that I really wanted to buy them. So, or at least source from somewhere. So I have, let's see, I'll stick with Aaron Read a Book or Read a Book. So his other recommendation that I was drawn to is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. So this one is sort of medium length and I'll get to it fairly soon, I think. But first I want to finish the two that I'm currently reading. But it is, about 39 women who live imprisoned in a cage. It sounds utterly terrible, but apparently it's really fascinating. So a vivid evocation of another world, alive with hope and dignity. So if there's hope in this terrible situation, then I'm all for it. So let's see, the three recommendations from Steve Donoghue, and also from two other booktubers I'll get to, but the three that I chose from Steve are Raising Hair by Chloe Dalton, which is a memoir of Chloe Dalton, that is, of course, that raised a newly born hare, but she was a city-dwelling professional with a high-pressure job. So that combination of coming from that sort of background and then going to nature and having that connection with an animal, I think that's a type of genre that I'm drawn to and I really want to get into. So this will be a start for me. The next one, Steve's favorite book of all time, Ovid's Metamorphosis. This is something I'm not sure when I'll get to. I had planned last year to get to it fairly quickly, but I think I need some lighter reads alongside the World War II history that I'm reading, so this will probably have to wait a little while. You can see I've brought quite a few with me. I think I was allowed up to 32 kilograms in my main suitcase. Anyway, the last one from Steve's recommendations is The Dragon Waiting by John M. Ford. So this one I did get quite a while ago, but haven't got around to yet. It's a beautiful looking book. I love the cover. And let's see, let me see, I'll read something that Gene Wolfe said about this book. The best mingling of history with historical magic that I have ever seen. So, in a snowbound inn high in the Alps, 4 people meet who will alter fate. It's very interesting combination here. A noble Byzantine mercenary, a female Florentine physician, an ageless Welsh wizard, and Sforza, the uncanny duke. So together they will wage an intrigue-filled campaign against the might of Byzantium to secure the English throne for Richard, Duke of Gloucester, and make him Richard III. So I have at least, I think with me, at least a half a year's worth of reading, depending how stressed I am at work, I think. We'll see. Okay. And one recommended by Jack from, what was the channel name again? I'll have to find and put the link down below. But she's a really big fan of Barbara Pym. So I bought myself last year Some Tame Gazelle, which I'm really looking forward to. Can't do this backwards, forwards. Wrong side. Okay, so this one is, let me see. Together get alone, the Mrs. Bede occupy the central crossroads of parish life. Actually, I won't go into this video. It'll be too long if I read the back of every book, and it's meant to be just a short one. But anyway, Barbara Pym, so some social commentary, I believe, and love stories, bit of humour in there, that sort of thing. I'm up for that. Now, 2 books by the same author. These 2 are by T. Kingfisher, and they were recommended, well, not recommended, but Pat from Book Chat with Pat, she was really gushing over T. Kingfisher's books, and I thought, well, I'm not quite into horror, but that sort of horror seems to be a little bit different, so I thought I'd give it a go. So I have Sword Heart, and I also have Nettle and Bone, which was actually on my wish list for a while, but then when Pat mentioned it, I looked at it again and I was like, okay, it's time to get these 2. I got these just kind of like a Christmas present just before I left Australia. So some, fantasy / horror / coziness, sort of, something like that. Then I also brought with me, Ingeborg Bachmann's Sämtliche Gedichte, so a book of poetry by a German poet. So this was my mother's, and I wanted some connection of hers to bring with me, so I've brought this one. Then what else? Steering the Craft, a 21st Century Guide to Sailing the Sea of Story by Ursula K. Le Guin. So this one, since I've always written poetry ever since I was young, but what I would love to do is to really try and get into writing stories, which is a lot of work, and I have a lot of catching up to do, but I thought I'd read some books at least about writing, and who better than Ursula K. Le Guin to make a start on it a little bit. And then I've also got, sticking with nonfiction, Anne Morrow Lindbergh's Against Wind and Tide, Letters and Journals. So she apparently had a really remarkable life. She had lots of things that happened to her. She married an aviator called Charles A. Lindbergh, who was definitely very famous. They had 5 children. What else? Some personal tragedies. She wrote a lot, and I believe she was also herself a pilot. So this is, a lot of this book is also when she was flying as well, unless I'm confusing her with someone else. Perhaps. Yes, no, she was, and she became a noted aviator in her own right. But what I have read from her already is Gift from the Sea, and I finished that just before I flew out, and a lot of really beautiful sentiments in there, sort of life advice or what she was going through at the time, and it's just yeah, helped a lot of women, I think, through the decades that have known about this book. So Gifts from the Sea is another one that I highly recommend. Let's see. Then I have an author recommended by Steve Donoghue, Mary McCarthy. But this one that I managed to get a hold of was The Company She Keeps. So her other books on Venice, and I'm not sure if it was Rome as well, but definitely the Venice one I was after, but this is the only one I could get at the time. So these are 6 interlinked stories, a dazzling portrait of 1930s New York. So her encounters and experiences with men, with radical politics, and with psychoanalysis. So we follow Margaret Sargent in her perpetual, sometimes painful quest to discover herself. And then I think I've already shown this on the channel, but I haven't actually read it yet, is Oh by Becky Manawatu, New Zealand author. So on the cover here we have, this way, we have a picture of a bird called the tui. And it's definitely around in the area. I've seen it and I've heard it. Oh, actually, that's it right now. I don't know if you can hear it here. I'd been hearing a couple of particular birds, and I've never been like a birder, but I always love nature and animals. But coming to a new country, I've discovered every time I heard a bird, I really want to know what it is. So I finally downloaded an app, and it can recognize most of the bird sounds that I hear here. So yeah, so that's how I know definitely it was a tui until I'd only heard it, and then eventually I did see it as well. And next one is The Innkeeper's Song by Peter S. Beagle. He's one of my favorite authors, so I thought I really had to bring one of those along with me. Yep. And so that's a fantasy book. For those of you who don't know, Peter S. Beagle is really a well-known American fantasy author. This one is a story of 3 women. I did start it, but then I got sidetracked along with something else before I left Australia. Now let's see, what else have I got? Oh yes, okay, so two teaching-related books. Notebook Connections, Strategies for the Reader's Notebook. This is by Amy Buckner. And I've also ordered her other 2 books in the same series. I'm finding it really helpful. And another one that I actually got for my son, but I probably will end up using for teaching a bit too, is called Big Ideas for Curious Minds. It's an introduction to philosophy. So this one is from a company or publisher or train of thought called The School of Life. Oh, it's got beautiful end patches as well. So this one, so it's The School of Life Press, and it was published in 2018. So it goes along things like, what is philosophy? Know yourself. Learn to say what's on your mind. It's hard to know what we really want. When someone is angry, maybe it's not you who is responsible. So it's written with kids in mind. And this one, let's see, big idea number 2, learn to say what's on your mind. So this is a little bit of the layout. And it's then talking to kids, relating it back to philosophers, and then directly quoting and talking about the philosophers themselves and the philosophies. It's a slightly different approach to philosophy that I like, and kids, I think, most kids anyway, if they're not stuck on screens half the time, they're naturally just curious, and if the screens don't kill their curiosity, at least something like this can hopefully keep it alive. And I also brought two art books with me. How to Make Watercolor Paint Itself. Absolutely gorgeous book by Nita Engel. So it's got a lot of examples in, just really inspiring. I do love watercolors, and that's something I brought with me were my watercolors. And the other one is also watercolor based, but it's more about color. It's called Making Color Sing Practical Lessons in Colour and Design by Jean Dobie. This is a real classic of a book. I think this is a, 25th anniversary edition, this one. And it's got a lot of colour theory in, and still a bit of composition and something like colour vibrations invoking visual tension. But her artworks, sort of realistic but loose kind of artworks, which I like. I like realistic and I like abstract and everything in between that you can think of. But when it comes to watercolours, I think these two books are going to last me quite a while, as well as my own explorations. Okay, I think, yeah, that was it. That's all the books I managed to bring with me. And as you can see on my shelf back there, there are still some on the shelf. I found some books that were left out on the curb. So 2 fantasy books, and then I bought a few secondhand as well. So Pillars of the Earth is the large one that you can see there. And yeah, a couple of other ones. So at the moment I have only this tiny bookshelf here. But as I was packing, I was scanning the majority of my books, and I had a rough guess how many I had, and they didn't all scan, so probably about maybe 300 didn't scan, but I think I estimated then, plus the ones that didn't scan or were too old and had no barcodes. I have about 2,000 books in total, which sounds insane, but that does include my children's picture books, ones that they love and ones that I love. It includes all the fiction and non-fiction. A lot of them are my mother's books, and probably about 20% of them. The rest are mine. What can I say? I love books. I love being surrounded by them, and I miss them. I want my books, my friends, my book friends back here, to be surrounded by them and just be able to pull something off the shelf and have a look through them and see what's next for my reading adventures. But okay, I think probably this video has gone on long enough. But it's nice to be back, and although it does still feel rather odd talking to a camera. And I'm not sure the sound quality here because my other usual setup, I don't have a desk. I can't at the moment. My computer's sitting on a swivel stool, and so if I wanted to, I could actually just slowly turn. You can have a little look outside, but it's kind of blown out with the light there. So I hope to put up at least minimum 1 video a week, maybe 2 if I can manage it, but I'll see how I go. But there's no way I think I will have time to do 3 videos a week. It's just too much at the moment. And yeah, and I'm looking forward to watching some more BookTube again, because trying to squeeze in reading, getting things from my place, and so many other things that I have to do. I've had to drop off a bit of BookTube watching so that I could actually get some reading done as well and enjoy that. So I'll say bye for now, and hopefully see you next time. Bye.